All right, everybody. So I thought I'd just sit here and finish painting a little bit. I turned off my whole computer and turned it back on. It's like kicking the TV when it doesn't work. Anyway, I finally got the camera to work. I wish I had done that first instead of playing with all these other technical things on the switches. Anyway, yay, I have a camera back. I can work flat again. I'm so relieved. So I shouldn't have to go buy a new one. So um, that as long as I got it working, I would play a little bit more with this because I feel like I shortchanged you a bit. I want to be able to just show a little bit more what color can do and how we can spread it and things like that. So I will just kind of continue working on this for a bit, at least for a few more minutes. So I wanted to get back into this, get some shadow on there, work at the background a little bit where I'm not liking it. And just all around, get a little bit more done. So pop a little more color in here. I think this will help you see too what I was going to try to do with that. Just kind of letting color play come in. Seeing how that it's going to define my pot a little bit better if I'm wanting it to. Going a little bit darker there is going to help define things and define areas. But if I want, just, because this is just a playtime, like I like just seeing what's going to happen if I pop a little bit of that purpley red in there, and just kind of let stuff move and let it do the watercolor thing that it does. It's kind of fun to play that way and not be so exacting. I think it's very painterly and a kind of a fun approach. And then it's also picking up these other colors that I have in the painting. So again, that's just, it's a preference. It's what do you like? What paintings are you attracted to? That's a big part of this. So if you're not liking this kind of loose style and you want it more exacting or perfected, then by all means, slow down and do that. And it does take, slowing down and really being careful with your brush strokes and things instead of being loose, messy. So getting that going a little bit more. Also start thinking about what I what I want that to do. It was a weird view of the pot, but I guess I'll just keep it as it is. Because I keep being tempted to put that ellipse in there and make it more pot-like, because that's how I could see it. But in the photo or in the camera space, what you guys were looking at, you could only see, that top ridge. So yeah, part of me wants to go mess with that. We'll see. Maybe I will. I'll at least get some dirt here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to commit to it and go for it. Let's get the ellipse. That's where I was like, yeah, paying attention to whatever I did in my thumbnail would have been a good idea. I'll let that puddle up, and then I can go back in and even like dot some other darker in there for dirt. Okay, that's a little bit dark. If you get too much, remember the magic of just picking stuff up. Always. And moving stuff around. See, it's getting a little more dirt-like as I just dot at it, actually. And soften it a bit. Okay, so I'll just kind of keep working this a little bit longer. I don't want to make too much of a video. That always then have to load it in too. So I put a darker green on that now, which I'm kind of liking. Kind of the fun part where you can just come back in and play and make it look the way you want it to look. If you're not wanting to look, still life is good as long as it's what you like, but you know, sometimes you want to see things a little bit differently. Let's see, I'm just going to show you the sponge thing a little bit too. Finding different things, paper towel wadded up, certain paper towels or tissue have patterns. Sponge definitely has patterns, so it's kind of fun to use that to pick up a little bit of that color and leave a little bit of texture. Another fun area to play in for sure. Add another layer to this one. So you see, the more layers you add, the more intense color you get, because what's happening is that pigment is sitting on top of pigment on top of pigment, and it's translucent because it's watercolor. So so what happens is it's like it's creating these almost like a prism of color. Come back into these ones over here now. Like I went too dark on that. Yeah, maybe not. Pick up a little bit. And I do kind of like this one leaf that's back here. It's a little too light, but I like that light. I think it's kind of interesting because it's causing it to really kind of go back in space. But I'll put one more layer on to see. And maybe I'll accentuate this one as it's coming forward. So we'll see more of it. Another layer. Aggressive in there. Get yellow in that. Like I went a little dark green. See, it's just really, watercolor can be just such a, I don't know. To me, it's a relaxing playtime in a way because you can just put down color, pick up color, put down color, pick up color. You can really mess with it almost like an oil painting in a way, except it's, you know, certainly faster. But I mean, you keep trying things. It's like I put down the dark and think, oh, do I really want it that dark? I kind of like that. Thought I wanted to go more yellow, but it wasn't looking right. And I want to get back to that lines that I saw in there that I was putting in. A little bit of a ridge line here. A little bit of some markings. So getting a little of that in just to add interest too. Anyway, getting the idea here. I'll go back to the fruit for a minute and then I am going to go write a thesis paper. So, all right, let's see. I'm gonna go with some orangey for my base to draw it with, but I think I want another one here. Yeah, I've moved our whole little still life now. So now I'm just getting to go out of my head, which is fun. And then I'm gonna put another piece here. Now, I want you to see as I'm going over this, see, I've got pigment down here on that table. So I either have to kind of give it a little bit of a scrub with my brush to pick some of that up. Otherwise, I'm going to be able to see it. And it just kind of depends too how dark I'm going to go with this piece of fruit. But right now, you can see the lines, right? So you can see where the plate was and where the table is. But that's okay, we'll fix. I go in with some purpley, violet, reddish color here, maybe a little darker. Go straight purple, let it bleed up. Now that's the kind of action I wanted you to be able to see. See when it's flat, I can watch that just all spread up. It's a lot. I put way too much in my charge, but it's really neat to watch it travel in the puddle. It's one of the neat things about watercolors, just watching it do its thing and letting it do its thing and then coming back and controlling a little bit. So like we've talked about in previous weeks, you get to do that. You get to control it a bit, but you also get to let it be out of control. So that's quite a bit. I'm gonna catch some with my sponge too, see what happens. Experiment. Yeah, pick up a lot of that. And I'll come back on with some red. And just like kind of, it's like you're mixing it right on the paper in a way. See, I'm mixing that purple in with a little bit of the red. Now I can come back to my yellowy orange and get some of that coming back in, cover up some of that background. I'll come back over to this one too, because I'm taking a lot of that out. Oh, I made it brown. I'll fix it. 2 things of water, or 3, helps. Yeah, pull some of that up. There we go. Kind of like, because it's going to be shadowed. This pot is doing some weird thing, so let's see what we can do to fix that. Get some blue under here, just a little bit. That shadow. Where it's going behind a little bit, where the pot and the plate are meeting. And in front of the pot a little bit. That's where it meets the table. And I love how I had that purple there. Let's see if I can fix that. Maybe I'll just bring in more, change the shape of my plate a little bit. I always do that. As long as I'm on that plate. There's going to be some shadowing, right? Especially right in the middle where these fruit are. That plate won't be bright white. So putting in a little bit of blue right there will certainly help. I can even go darker if I want, except that fruit right next to it is colored. Gonna drip in. Yeah, let me come back out here. So shadows too on the plate of where the fruit is sitting, coming back in and adding some of those shadows. So the white plate's not always totally white. And sometimes there might even be like maybe some markings on the plate. Boom, 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 like that. This one had a design on it, but kind of a complicated one. So I don't know if I want to put all that in because it's too much going on already, but you know, can. So watering down now, I put some markings, but now with just some water, adding a little bit, because no white is absolutely white. Like just where that rim was showing was very white because the light was hitting it. But coming in and just adding a little bit of color can make it work better. Okay, now I see where this is all bleeding into this one. We'll fix it. Is that in front or behind? Now I forget. Guess we can choose. Let's see. Get some red in there. A little bit more of that purple. Ooh, I'll watch it go. I love watching the color spread and do its thing. Let's see, we're completely now covering up where that line was. I don't think we can really see that anymore. But definitely something to consider if you're putting a background in, you know, just like if you had the pencil line or you imagined it, you can work that way too, and keep the fruit white while you put that background in. If you're putting the background in after, that works too. Yeah, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that again just to see. Yeah, picked up too much of it. Kind of interesting though, so I like that patterning. Get a highlight going there. Add a little bit more red back in. A little more purple. This is back and forth action all the time. It got a little dark, way too dark. Funny how it looks okay for a minute, and I know it's going to dry lighter too, so kind of probably overcompensating. Look back to that red. I usually use a paper towel, and I sit here drying off my brush with a paper towel. But I also found these little cloth dishcloths from the dollar store, so that works really nice too. So I'm feeling much better because I go through way too many paper towels. So just having that there, drying off your brush, and then being able to come back in and pick up color, you know, dry it off, pick up. So just kind of like a back and forth of that until you have what you want. Yeah, that's looking like a weird shaped fruit right there. I'm just realizing that. Oh, we'll fix it. And see, as it was starting to puddle right there and dry, I can loosen that back up. It's still very malleable. Really, you know, in the first day, you can change quite a bit. Depending on the paper. I always have to say that, depending on the paper. Some papers, I do know that they just don't. They don't work as well with picking up. And then of course, depending on the paint too, but the cheap watercolors, like the kid Crayola ones, sorry, don't pick up like these do, and don't have the real pigment in them. So hopefully, if you're in this class, you're using good materials. That's looking better. It's looking like something I can leave with now and go write a paper. So, all right. Hopefully that. Yeah, I'm realizing you can't see it all as I'm doing it. Anyway, get the camera back on it that way. Ooh, no, that didn't work. Uh, there we go. So now you can see it. Okay, so that was a good start. I'll probably go in and add more layers later, but I better go. Okay, thanks. Bye, everyone.